We're here in Shanghai with David Scott, who is with Laing O'Rourke in London. He's a past chairman of the Council on Tall Buildings, and you've changed disciplines lately, going from consulting to contracting. What's that been like?
Well, after 34 years with a design consultant with Arup, who I love greatly, I've moved into contracting, and it's been very interesting to see the business from a different perspective. I now get to work with some very good engineers around the world. I'm working with Bill Baker, I'm working with Cameron from WSP, I'm working with Tristram Coffey from Arup, who I probably wouldn't have got to work with if I'd stayed with Arup, interestingly enough. It's been very interesting seeing the business from a different perspective, seeing how different engineers will approach a project in different ways, how architects will collaborate, and the different approaches they've got to get the best out of a project and to come up with something that's good.
What's been the most transferable going from consultant to contractor?
It's understanding what the consultants are talking about. So my role in Laing O'Rourke is to coordinate our research. It's to help us get the most out of our products, and we do products from buildings to large sort of water treatment facilities, airports, infrastructure, bridges, and we have a particular way of doing them that we are interested in developing and building upon and developing an expertise. We do a lot of modular construction, and so I get to work with architects and engineers to basically apply our product, help them apply our products to the particular projects that we're working with. And it's very good it's a very interesting sort of collaborative process to try and get what we need, which is sometimes different to what we ask for. So I like working with people that try and find out what we really need and get us there.
You mentioned modular, and of course one of the big news items lately has been the Broad Group and their desire to build an 838-meter building in 90 days. And of course they've already done one small building in 30. Have you looked at it, and what do you think?
I think that we have a factory that does this type of prefabrication and modular construction. So I'm going to go to the Broad factory and have a look at what they're doing. And I thought we had a very big factory. It was a £100 million investment, but their factory is much bigger, and I'm sure what I see will influence the extension of our factory, which is underway at the moment. So prefabrication and modularization in buildings gives an opportunity to build fast. And in the UK and in Australia and Hong Kong, where we work, we're renowned for building fast and safe. That's our kind of our motto. So I think that going up to Changsha and having a look at what they're doing there will certainly give us some ideas, and maybe we'll talk to them about collaborating in some form or other.
I've been trying to put some context with the building that they've already done, which is a 30-story building, I believe, and it's very slender. And I was wondering how commercially feasible or viable a structure like that is. And then I looked at Hong Kong, which we're going to later in the week, that has these very tall, slender buildings on small land plots. Is that the primary application for this, is small, slender buildings, or how can it be applied?
No, I think there is a move to build modular buildings so you can get a factory level of efficiency in your design and in your construction. So the fact that the Broad Group are doing it here, I know that Forest City Ratner with Arup are doing a 34-story building in New York that's completely modular. We're doing modular construction in the UK. It's a trend that is giving the engineers the opportunity to refine designs in a factory-led condition and making maximum use of that factory condition to get integrated products up there and minimizing the number of people on site and minimizing that minimizes the risks of accidents and injuries. And that's a thing that we're particularly interested in. But it's also the speed. So more speed with less people gets you often a better quality product than you would get through site construction.
Well, again, looking for practical applications for that, someone brought up the fact that we're sitting in the most modern part of Shanghai there is, and probably one of the most modern urban areas on the planet right now. Yet not very far from here you have, I won't say public housing, but residential housing that's not built nearly as well. And so there is a great demand and a great hole to be filled between commercial and residential. I mean, is that one area where that potentially is a difference maker?
I think that standardization of buildings is something that you can do with modular construction. But I actually think you can almost do anything with modular construction. It is creating buildings out of components. At the moment, we look at different ways of putting together buildings in very small components. So we do it beam by beam, reinforcement bar by reinforcement bar. But it's very easy to build the beams, put on the deck, put the services underneath, and then deliver the whole component. And that's what Broad are doing. That's what we're doing. And I think that method of construction will continue to expand, and different contractors will develop different systems and techniques of doing different types of buildings. So low-cost housing certainly, but I think you can also then apply the same philosophy to almost any project.
How much does standardization like that drive down the cost of building? Significantly?
Well, it probably doesn't make any impact to the cost, except it's much faster to build, so you don't have as many and it's much faster and more effective to build. So it's that sort of overhead charge that contractors, so you use the cranes for less time, you use the site facilities for less time. So that's a substantial saving.
Some people, when they hear the word, when they hear about mass production and modularization, might think about cookie cutter. Is there a lot of room in there for customization?
Yeah, I think it's not mass production; it's mass customization. It's the ability to create many different things rapidly. And in our factory, and I'm sure in Broad's factory, the mesh is cut, the particular shape is set out by a machine, everything is laid down in its place. It's then checked, and then the concrete's poured. So that's how it works at its best. And then you can create any shape you like. And then
concrete, you can do anything you want.
Yeah, it's, you've got lots of opportunities to have multiple different products that you just tweak and say, right, this is what I want this one to be. You feed the drawings into the computer reads the BIM model, it checks that all the materials are ready, it goes, it bends the cages, it folds them, it puts them together, and it's then ready for checking and verification that everything's in the right place.
One of the projects to kind of change gears here, one of the new projects you're working on is Leadenhall in London.
Yeah.
AKA the cheese grater.
Yeah, it's a great building, and from my perspective, one of the most adventurous designs in tall buildings that I've seen in a very long time. I think it'll be the second tallest in London. And on that, we're using a mixture of steel beams and precast concrete floor slabs connected together in a composite way. So it's a very interesting design. but it's also a case of just dropping things into place. Some of the components we're making 12 meters long. It's fully fitted with the services. It's 4 meters high, and they're just dropped on top of the previous elements, and that's where the main service runs go from the service modules into the floor. So it's going to be an iconic building, and I think that the council's conference next year will feature that heavily, because it's being built for Oxford Properties and British Land, who are the diamond sponsors of the conference in London next year. So I think Laing O'Rourke will certainly be featured in what we've done and how we built it, which was different to how the engineers originally designed it, but it was utilizing our systems and our products, and the engineers have then worked with us to actually get these into the design to actually make it fast to build the way we want to build it, as opposed to the way they had originally assumed it was going to be built. And I think there are changes to the industry, because designers have got much more efficient and effective tools than they've ever had before. So it's not unreasonable for different builders to want to build a particular project in a different way, and to want to change the design to suit the systems and the way of buildings that they have developed an expertise in. So we're looking at stadium project at the moment. We do quite a lot of these when we're using a set of components that are particularly unique to that stadium, but they're based on systems that we really understand and we know how to make fast and to build quickly.
You can speak from the standpoint of someone who has been chairman of the council before. Here we are sitting in Shanghai,
yep.
which 10 years ago might have been a wild dream, and it's not now. What are you looking for some of the outcomes of this conference, having been here, and what do you hope to take away?
I did the first Arab building in China, and it was nearly the tallest building in China at the time. It was the first concrete core steel perimeter frame building. It had a concrete outrigger, and it's the Hilton Hotel in Shanghai. It used to be a tall building, and now it's kind of a medium-sized building. And at the time, we would come down and walk along the bund and look at the rice paddies in Pudong area. And there was no building. They were just starting the tower, which was the first thing to be built. And they were just starting to build the tower.
The Jin Mao?
No, there were no other buildings.
The Oriental Pearl.
Okay. So I think that China has shown what is possible to achieve in rapid urbanization, and is like New York was in the 1910s and 1920s when it just grew. And I think that certainly mistakes have been made, but I think incredible leaps forward in understanding technology and applying it, and applying sustainability have happened here that we can now learn from. So to me, it's a kind of a two-way education process that's happened in a very short period of time, because they've built an enormous amount of expertise in tall buildings and in building and construction.
It has been an incredible week in Shanghai, and thanks for coming to see us.
Thank you for speaking. It's good to see you.